This is the video answer for exercise 4 of Project Orion. So in this exercise we are just going through a use case scenario where Solucell decided for the roaming users to restrict content update when they're using a metered connection over 3G or 4G. First, it uses bandwidth, and second, it's actually costing money because every megabyte that will be downloaded through 3G or 4G connection will be billed to Solucell. So in this approach, we have already pre-configured the location, so we don't have to actually worry about setting up the location. Here we need to modify the policy for content update and create ad hoc policies so that we are matching the Solucell requirement. So this requirement is that when a SEP client is connected via VPN, they update their content to the SEP management server. When they're using 3G or 4G, they do not retrieve any content. When they're on the external location, so it could be a Wi-Fi, a public Wi-Fi or something like this, they use the public live update. And when they're connected into the office or the LAN location, then they use the SEP management server. So we will have three policies. So one where we go from SEPM, one with no content, and one with live update. So we have to create those policies and then assign them to the different groups. So without further ado, let's get started with this. So we are on SEPM 01. We're going to the policy view, and we're going to the live update policy. We're checking live update settings, which is going to make a copy and paste. Going to open this policy and edit it. So we start with the VPN and LAN policy. We're going to put a description. Okay. And once we have the detail here that we know that this policy will be used for Windows client to retrieve content from SEPM, we're going to the server setting in the Windows section. We uncheck use live update server. We uncheck group update provider, so that we are just using SEPM as a distribution method. We can go and click OK. Now we're going right click again and click paste. So we have another policy to start with. We're going to rename this one external. As a detail, we put retrieves content from live update. We're going to the server settings. So this time we uncheck management server, we uncheck GUP, and we have only live update server, so the public Symantec live update server here. We click OK. We're repeating one more time this step, so we're going paste, and this time will be for the 3G and 4G connection. So let's go and edit, put no content update, and here we will uncheck everything. And I just want to point you out this. So you cannot have no settings. If I'm going here, you see that it refuses to save the policy. So what we'll be doing is that we'll check enable third party, and we're not configuring any third party to distribute. So like this, we can actually save the policy without having any method. Okay, so this is really not recommended in most cases, because you always need to have one way of getting content update to your client. If it's really a metered connection that's actually posing a problem, you might have other location like we have in here that will be external, where you use the Wi-Fi at home or somewhere else, where we actually getting content update to the endpoint. So it has to be really a specific use case that you're actually going with this option. So we click OK. And now we have our different locations. So our different policy that we will need to assign to the locations. So we're going to select the VPN and LAN, going right click, click assign. And if I'm going to Orion, I see that I have the matching location that's present here. So click assign. Going to do the same for external. And finally, I'm going to do the same for 3G, 4G. Okay, so once they're assigned, you can see that you have a count of 1. So it means that each policy is assigned to one specific location. So I'm going back to the client view, and now I see that if I'm refreshing, I have a live update setting policy for the location VPN. For 3G, 4G, I have my 3G, 4G location. For external, I have my external policy. And for Office LAN, I have my VPN and LAN. So we can see that this one, it is not the expected policy. So we can go here, go to task, and do replace policy. So just another way to show you how you can go and assign a policy. So we're going here and we're going to select VPN and LAN. So like this, we're actually correcting the issue we had. So now VPN and the Office LAN location have the same policy. Okay, that's the intended configuration. So next step, we need to actually test these settings, but we see that there's no client here. So we're going back to the Hypnos group, and we're going to select a system that was already pre-configured with all the options, and that client is WCWS03. I need to click move it to Orion. Okay, and now we have our client here. So we cannot, in a demo environment, use a real 4G connection or a real VPN. There was not the ability of getting such a setup. So as a criteria here, we're using registry key to simulate the location changes. Okay, so it means that you will have some shortcuts on the desktop, which I will show you in a second. So we are now on the client WCWS03, and you can see that there's multiple icons here to symbolize that location change. So those are actually registry keys with different values, and the logic that is configured for SEP makes that, depending on the value we have assigned to those registry keys, we are actually simulating the 3G connection, the external location, the Office location, and so on. Let's open the SEP client and look on the troubleshooting screen. So like this, when we're changing location, you can monitor which location we are using with the SEP client. So I'm going to the help troubleshooting. I see that the client is under Orion and the current location is Office LAN. Okay. In Office LAN, we are retrieving content from the SEP management server, so you can see that live update is grayed out. Okay. We're going now to move the client to another location, so we're going to external. I'm double clicking on external. We'll be prompted to add the registry key into the registry, so click yes. The location changes here to external, and the settings are changing. So you can see that now the live update option is no longer grayed out. So if I close the troubleshooting, I can click here and launch a live update. Okay, and live update run as expected because we are on the external location. So I'm just going back to open my troubleshooting. And let's say I would be outside and I want to actually go back to Solicel network, and I use a VPN, so I'm just opening the VPN location. At this point, SEP client moves to the VPN location, and then the live update option goes grayed out. Okay, so let's check the one last option, which is the 3G and 4G. Okay, so we switch to the correct location, and we see that live update is disabled. And because we know what policy we put on the SEPM, we know that that client at that point is not able to retrieve content update. So if we are leaving it in that way for several days in that location, you would not see any content update happening on this client. So as I mentioned earlier on, that specific option is like to illustrate purpose, but for a security standpoint, you always want to have at least one method of content update. So this concludes exercise 4 of Project Orion.